Alrighty, you guys. So today, hopefully you are watching this video on Wednesday, November 18th. So this is now the second time that everybody is doing their work online. So hopefully you're watching this video and you're gonna check in during the Google Meet during class time, if it's still between 7:45 and 9:05, okay? So for today, we are still talking about distributing, okay? So distributing, remember, what are we actually doing when we're distributing? Okay, what are we doing when it tells us to distribute? Okay, remember this always means we are multiplying. Okay, whenever it tells you to distribute, you are multiplying something, okay? So our first ones, it's asking us to simplify each expression by using the distributive property. So basically by distributing, okay? So let's zoom in. Let's go to number 1. Okay, so find your parentheses and then find the number that is right in front of our parentheses. What is the number that's right in front that needs to distribute? Okay, this is going to be that 9, right? So the 9 wants to distribute, meaning it wants to multiply to both things inside. Okay, so the first thing that it wants to multiply is that negative 3r. Okay, so what is 9 times negative 3r? Okay, well, let's look at the coefficients really quick. Okay, so we have 9 times negative 3. Okay, what is 9 times negative 3? This is going to give me negative 27. Okay? So negative 27, and then how many r's did I have being multiplied? Okay, I just had one r right there, so our final piece is negative 27r. Okay, so now let's look at our last piece. So now the 9 wants to multiply to the 5. So we have 9 times 5. Okay, this one's a little easier. There's no r's involved. So what is 9 times 5? It's going to give me 45. Okay, so then these guys are just pieces to my expression. So I have that piece and that piece. So then we just rewrite them together. So our final expression is negative 27r plus for positive 45. And that is our simplified expression. Okay. Now let's look at number 2. Okay, so for number 2, what is the number that needs to distribute? That's right in front of the parentheses. Okay, it's going to be this negative 5, right? So negative 5 needs to multiply to both things inside, the 1 and the 9n. So let's do one step at a time. So first is negative 5 times 1. Okay, well, what is negative 5 times 1? It's just going to give me negative 5. Okay, well, now it needs to distribute to the positive 9n. So negative 5 times positive 9n. Okay, now let's take this, look at it one piece at a time. So first look at your coefficients, negative 5 times 9. What is negative 5 times 9 going to give me? It's going to give me negative 45. Okay, and then you look at the variables. How many n's were being multiplied? Just that one n right there. So negative 45n. Okay, now our last step is to just write them together. Okay, so we have negative 5 minus 45n. And that is our simplified, that is our simplified expression. So negative 5 minus 45n. Okay, let's look at number 3. Okay, so what is the number right in front of the parentheses that needs to distribute? It's going to be this negative 2. Okay, so we have negative 2 times x and negative 2 times a negative 2. Okay, so let's take it one piece at a time. Negative 2 times x. Okay, well, this is like saying negative 2 times 1, right? Negative 2 times 1. It's just going to give me that negative 2. And then how many x's were being multiplied? 1x right there. Okay, beautiful. So that was our first piece. Now our second piece is -2 times -2 times -2. What is that going to give me? Negative times a negative is a positive. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so now just put your pieces together. -2x plus for a positive 4, and that is our simplified expression. Okay, beautiful. Let's look at number 4. Okay, so for number 4, what is the number right in front of the parentheses that needs to distribute? It's going to be this positive 6. Okay, so 6 needs to multiply to the b and the 10. So 6 times b, and this, again, this is like saying 6 times 1 is just going to give me that, 6. And then there was 1b that was being multiplied, so 6b. Okay, then our next piece is 6 times 10. Okay, so 6 times 10, what is that going to give me? 60. And now we can just rewrite them together. So 6b plus 60. That is our simplified expression. Beautiful, you guys. Okay, for our last two examples, notice that we're not simplifying anymore. Now we are solving. Okay, meaning we should get an answer. We're trying to figure out what number does this variable represent, okay? So let's write down our steps for solving really quick. So let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, and we're gonna write steps for solving. Okay, so our first step for solving is going to be to distribute, just like you were doing up top. Okay, our next step is going to be to combine like terms if you have to. Okay, you might not have to do the second step on these. Okay, but if you have to combine like terms, you need to combine like terms. And then our third step is going to be to solve, meaning get rid of things on both sides, right? Undo. Okay, solve for the variable. Okay, meaning you're getting rid of something so that the variable is all by itself on one side. Okay? So let's go ahead and practice it. All right? So for number 5, our first step on our steps is to distribute. So we need to distribute. So only looking at our side with the variable. So this side right here, what is the number that needs to distribute? It's going to be this -3. Okay, so -3 needs to multiply to both those guys. Okay, so we'll just do it right under. -3 times 4a. So -3 times 4 gives me -12. And there was 1a, so -12a. Okay, then our second piece, -3 times -3. A negative times a negative gives me a positive. And 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, we distributed. Now we need to see if we can combine like terms. Okay, so look at these two guys. Are these guys like terms? No, they are not. The -12 has the a, the 9 does not. So, like I said, we don't really need to do the second step. That's great. Okay, so all we have to do now is write your equals, -63 on the other side. And now we can do our third step, which is to solve for the variable. Okay, so coming back up here, let's go ahead and solve for the variable. Okay, so we're going to draw our line down our equal sign. Okay, and we need to get rid of this +9 and this -12. Okay, the negative 12 is being multiplied to the a, so it's the closest one to the a. We need to get rid of the one that's farthest from the a. So we need to get rid of this plus 9 first. Okay, and what is the opposite of plus 9? It is minus 9. Okay, so we need to get rid of it by doing the opposite, but you must do the same thing to both sides. So we subtract 9 from both sides. Okay, so we bring down what's left over. We still have our negative 12a equals, and then what is negative 63 minus 9 more? We're getting more negative here. So negative 63 minus 9, that's going to give me negative 72. Beautiful. Okay, so we still have this times by negative 12 that we have to get rid of. Okay, and careful, this is not saying a minus 12. This is saying negative 12 times a because they're right next to each other. Okay, so what is the opposite, or how do I get rid of times by negative 12? We divide by negative 12. Okay, so that gets rid of it, but we got to do the same thing to both sides. Divide by negative 12. Okay, our a is all by itself. A equals, in your calculator, you can do negative 72 divided by negative 12. Okay, we know that a negative divided by a negative gives us a positive, and then 72 divided by 12 gives me 6. Okay, so our variable is all by itself. We know that a equals 6. Okay, so we followed all the steps to get our answer. We first had to distribute. Then we had to see if we could combine like terms. We didn't have to, so we could go ahead and start solving. We had to do two things to solve. We had to get rid of the plus 9, and we had to get rid of that times by negative 12, which gave us our answer of positive 6. Okay, let's look at our last example for the day. Okay, so we're going to follow our steps again. So first step is always to distribute. So what is the number that needs to distribute? It's going to be that negative 6, right? So negative 6 times n and 6. Okay, so let's do our negative 6 times n. Okay, negative 6 times 1 right there is just going to give me a negative 6. Okay, there's one n being multiplied, so negative 6n. Okay, now we have our second step, negative 6 times positive 6. We have a negative times a positive, which is going to give me a negative. And then 6 times 6 gives me 36. Okay, so we did our first step, we distributed. Now let's see if we can combine like terms. Okay, so looking at these two guys, are these guys like terms? Can I combine them at all? Nope, because my negative 6 has an n, my negative 36 does not. So we can go ahead and write equals the other side, and we can start solving this guy. Okay, so let's draw our line down our equal sign. Okay, so I need to get rid of this minus 36 and this times by negative 6. The times by negative 6 is closest to the n, so we need to get rid of the one that's farthest from it. So how do I get rid of minus 36? We add 36. Okay, so we're going to add 36 to both sides. Okay, we still have our negative 6n, which is left over here. And then in your calculator, you can do negative 66 plus 36. And that is going to give you a negative 30. Okay, so we're not quite done. We still have one more thing to get my n by itself. So this is saying negative 6 times n, because they're right next to each other. So how do I get rid of, or what is the opposite of times by negative 6? We divide by negative 6. Okay, that gets rid of it. We got to do the same thing to both sides. So our n is going to be all by itself. N equals, what is negative 30 divided by a negative 6? Remember, a negative divided by a negative is going to give me a positive. And then 30 divided by 6 is 5. Okay, we know we're done when our variable is all by itself. Okay, so again, we had to distribute first, see if we could combine like terms. We didn't have to, So we could go ahead and solve for the variable to get me my final answer of n equals 5. Okay, you guys, so make sure that you do the assignment below on your Canvas. Make sure to check in on Google Meet if it's still between 7:45 and 9:05 so I can mark you here. Okay?